Hello, everyone. IMS welcomes you all to Future You, Set Your Career Compass Right with Experts Insight. And I'm Kalyani, your host for today's webinar. So today our topic is careers in product management. And in this webinar, you'll find out about what are the roles and responsibilities of a product manager, how is life of a product manager at Microsoft, what are the growth opportunities in this field, the various jobs that are available, profile building, skill sets required to excel in this field, and more. So today, for this session, our speaker is Bharat Khanna. He's a product manager at Microsoft. Bharat is an alumnus of IIM Bangalore. He worked as a software engineer for 3 years with Samsung Electronics before choosing to pursue an MBA and a career in product management with one of the top firms. Welcome, Bharat Khanna, and thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you so much, Kalyani. It's an
Yeah,
honor.
thank you. So let's start from your career progression, right from software engineering to product management. Very briefly, but yes, like the salient points in your journey.
Sure. So basically, my interest in product management, you can say it was sparked when I was working at Samsung. I worked as an engineer there. The thing with engineering is while I did love each and every day that I worked there solving different kind of technical problems. What intrigued me was also how do we come up with the business requirements? Like why are we building what we are building, right? And that's something which kind of made me inclined towards a career in product management because I wanted to be closer to customers. I wanted to understand their perspective. I wanted to understand uh, why what are the underlying needs of the customers that are prompting us to build devices that we are building, right? So
Right.
that kind of sparked my interest there. I did get in touch with a few product managers at Samsung,
Mm.
tried to understand what's their perspective. And that's where I did take a call somehow that, yeah, I think that's something which really fit my interest, right? As an engineer, you want to solve a lot of technical problems, but also knowing why you are building something, what are the underlying needs, does help you give a holistic picture around it, right? So it kind of gelled well within my interest, the realm of my interest, be it both on the technical as well as on the business front.
Mm.
So that's when I decided that, yeah, that's the right career choice for me.
Okay. So can you tell us a little bit about what exactly is product management? What does it entail? And yeah, maybe with examples.
Sure, definitely. Yeah, so basically, a product manager sits right in between a lot of different verticals, right? So people might have heard sayings that you are the CEO of your product. While
Right.
that's not
Yeah.
true, at
Okay.
least from my experience, that's not at all true,
Mm.
right? You don't take decisions for your product. You don't take decisions for the entire suite of products on your own,
Mm.
right? What a product manager typically does, they typically start with a lot of inquiries, right? An inquiry could be, I'll give you an example from what I'm working, from what I did work a few months back. Uh, the inquiry started with what can we do to be successful in a particular market, right? And then uh, once we have this inquiry, we frame a bunch of questions, we frame a bunch of our own set of investigations that we need to complete. And these investigations typically revolve around how how are the customers behaving in that particular segment that we're trying to target, right? And even before that, the choice to enter a particular segment, the choice to enter a particular market or a geography is also driven by the company's goal. What does Microsoft as a company want to achieve,
Mm.
right?
Right.
What are the next logical directions in which we can move? So
Okay.
the investigations and their flows, that's something that a product manager tries to handle in the beginning of a product. And
Okay.
once those investigations are done,
Mm.
let's say we go and study a particular geography, we go and study who are the products, who are the current competitors in that market, what are the customers needing in that market. That's where you start charting out your own roadmap. Then
Right.
we'll say that our 5-year plan looks something like this. At the end of 5 years, we'll be the dominant players in this
Mm.
particular market, and this is how we are going to achieve. So that's a plan and the strategy that the PM needs to come up with. And
Okay.
then comes the execution part, wherein you need to work with your engineering team to decide what's feasible, what's not, and if something is, say, taking a lot of time and it's not worth as much revenue for us as a company, that would go down our priority list. So prioritizing what requires to be done, how that needs to be done, and then coming up with a detailed implementation plan. That's again a PM's requirement. And finally executing it and then rolling it out to all the customers, working with marketing teams to create all those marketing campaigns that you see, working with the content team to create all those blogs. Right? So that's everything that a PM needs to be involved in, not necessarily work on, but yeah, I mean, all of those things, anything about my product, it has to go through me. And I am required to give inputs to it. So that's something that a PM does.
Okay. Is the roles and responsibility very different if it is a non-IT sector, or maybe if it's not Microsoft, maybe a product manager in some other firm? Is it very different, or roughly this is what it is all about?
Roughly on the broad lines, I think that's what most of the tech firms, at least that I'm aware of, work. The PMs, what varies across different companies is the level of ownership that you get. For example, in a particular company, you might be responsible only for one aspect of a product. As a product manager, you might be responsible for growth, or you might be responsible for engagement. Right? That's some bifurcation that some of the companies out there do. While in other companies, everything that falls under the purview of your product might be required to be handled by you, right from customer acquisition to retention to customer growth to even monetization. So that's typically how the roles vary across industry within the tech industry. On the non-tech side of things, the PMs, say in a product manager working with, say, in a financial sector, right? So they might be, there are again two kinds of PMs there, one who are working on the IT systems there, and the other who are working on the core offering of that company. So then again, the role could be distinguished there, but broadly, it's how your product shapes up, what's the roadmap looks like, and how basically how does it bring money back to this.
So now that you're saying that the expectation is probably different from one firm to another. So what is the key expectation from a PM at Microsoft?
Sure. So at Microsoft, all of the PMs, they're primarily expected to own certain key aspects of their product. So the way I was telling, that responsibilities might be split. So that happens in some teams. Again, it varies a lot by the teams. So now what happens, some of the new upcoming products, the PMs are expected to drive more usage. And when we are saying driving more usage, Microsoft isn't a standalone company, right? So we don't have a standalone product out there. It's a suite of products always, right? When you talk about Microsoft, it includes Windows, Office, Azure for companies, right? So a lot of expectation from PMs across Microsoft is to figure out these synergies between all of these different teams, between different orgs, and then making sure that the plan that we have is one, executable along with all the other peripheral teams that are there, and two, you need to be the bridge to kind of connect a lot of different pieces. So that's a very key expectation, and that's, I think, not just at Microsoft but at any big tech firm. Say you take Amazon for example, or Google for example, the key expectation remains the same, because these are such big companies. You cannot build a product in silo, right? It's not that there's will be just one product, because at the end that product will be communicating with a lot of internal Microsoft products, and you need to be make sure that you don't break anything in the process of making something else, right? So that's something that typically is an expectation from a Microsoft PM, that you take care of everything that your product touches upon, and then you make sure that all those parts are working. Then also one another thing that's very much specific to the industry that Microsoft operates in. So it primarily operates in the enterprise sector. So what PMs are also required to think is to be aware of their customers' privacy and security needs, and that's something that we place a real emphasis on. So there are a lot of scenarios that we come up with. Hey, it would be good if I know this about my customer, and then I can give them this other insight. But then it all boils down to whether are we breaking any rules or regulations of that particular geography in this process? Are we even allowed to have a view into this particular set of data? So that's something that a Microsoft PM needs to be very cognizant of, because of the nature of the industry that we operate.
Right. So, as far as firms like Microsoft, how exactly do they hire PMs? Do they need to have, say, software background? So, does that help, or is it also fine if the person does not have an engineering background for that matter, or for that matter, technical know-how of everything? So, can that person
Sure.
also be hired as a PM in a firm like Microsoft?
Sure. I think yes. The short answer is yes. Microsoft does hire from a lot of different backgrounds, but
Okay,
it also depends on a lot of factors, right?
right.
I'll state a few of them here.
Mm.
So a lot of folks come in as Microsoft PMs are also ex-consultants. So they come from big consulting firms, be it the McKinseys and the
Okay,
BCGs of the world, or
okay.
the Deloittes or the ENYs of the world.
Hmm.
So a lot of consultants do come in because the role of a product manager requires to kind of have some of those structured thinking skills, right? You need to be able to figure out your market. You need to be able to size your market, figure out your addressable revenue, right? And all of those
Right.
things. So that's a background that you would see often in product management.
Hmm.
Apart from that, a lot of folks from engineering, not necessarily computers or the tech side of things, they do land up as PMs because there are a lot of things that the company works on. For example, the Surface laptop, right? So there are a bunch of PMs who are mechanical engineers, right? And they need to make sure that the laptop functions well, the internal parts are because they are the ones who understand those particular systems very well,
Right.
right? And similarly, a lot of chemical engineers land up in teams like materials, right? So those are the teams that determine what the external of a Microsoft device should look like. What is the touch and feel factor of that?
Mm-hmm.
So it depends on again which particular team you land up in. But yeah, there are a wide variety of PMs. So it's not just tech; it's a lot of non-tech PM work that's done as well. So that's something that you need to figure out if you're very well aligned to it. The underlying principle there is that the role should be aligned to one, your expertise, and two, your interest, right? So expertise is something that's well stamped on a paper, right? You have a particular set of credentials, you have some work ex, but your interest is something else that gets taken into account a lot,
Right.
right? So if you're someone who's proven to have a particular inclination towards technology or something, right? So and when I say proven to have, there are ways in which a lot of people build their profiles, right, to kind of fall into that zone, and that's
Correct.
something that we can cover next.
No,
But yeah, I think
yeah, but the thing is, like, since you did say that, a person who's a mechanical engineer and is now a PM, it's easier for them to understand, obviously, the product and all that. But a PM will have experts, as in technical people, in their team, right? So, I mean, what if the person, I mean, how technically strong should one be to work in a firm like, say, Microsoft or Google as a product manager? Yeah, as in
yeah,
that's what I would actually like to ask you.
sure. So I think okay, just to put things into perspective,
Yeah.
there's a great PM on my team who's not an engineer. He's from SRCC, went to IIM Ahmedabad, and then he landed up in product management because he loved the field, because he loved just interacting with technology.
Right.
So short answer, you do have a bunch of technical experts in your team, right? So my team has different architects, so I don't need to worry about the software side of things so much. I need to worry about the customers that we are bringing in. What are my customers requirements? That's the perspective that a PM requires to have.
Okay.
But where the expertise in software side of things does help is for me to understand their plans, right? If the technical team comes up and says that this is something that we need 2 years to build on. And that's where having some of the background does help, wherein I could say that, okay, are we building a particular platform, or can we not cut short the process, and have those kind of discussions, right? Which for me are definitely very fruitful, but definitely that's not set in stone, right? A lot of PMs there here do not have a tech background, because you do have all of that expertise, right? What you need to bring in is a razor sharp focus on your customers' need and the markets in which you operate. So that's something that's the primary requirement there.
Okay, let's take few questions now. This is a very nice question. How evolved is the PM role against, say, any business analyst or pre-sales role?
Okay, so I think that's a very great question, for sure. Let me compare what a pre-sales or a business analyst role here at Microsoft looks like versus what a PM's daily job looks like, and then I think we'll have a great view into it. Here, typically, say for a company like Microsoft, we start with a bunch of customers who want to onboard to a certain set of our products, and then the pre-sales team is the first one that gets a foot in the door, right? They just go, they start those conversations, they initiate those initial contacts with us, right? And then they do rely on the PM team to understand the core requirements of that product, of that customer, right? The customer might, if say a customer like any major say government, right? They want a particular set of security protocols to be included. They want a particular set of, say, authentication mechanisms to be included. That's where they would rely on their PMs to bring in that perspective, right? And then the pre-sales folks would definitely help to get the foot in the door, as I said, but to drive those conversations ahead, to build that particular roadmap, and then we'll say that, fine, we need to do these 10 things, and then this customer's requirements would be set, right? And then it's the PMs who need to work on the business case around it, that say something like, I'll need to invest 100 engineers for 2 years, and that would cost me X, and this particular sale would cost me X. Is it even worth the return that I'm investing? So it's all of those discussions that get ongoing with both the pre-sales team, the sales team, and the PM team. So a PM team has to play a pivotal role in all of these different deals, to say, but the initial getting the foot in the door is what the pre-sales team does.
Right. Do you think your experience after bachelor adds up to your current position? What do you think about computer engineering pressure as a PM? Yeah, so you can take it in two parts, as in the first one being your experience before an IMB. You had already, like a good amount of experience. So how does that add on to your profile?
Yeah, definitely. So it does add on to my profile. I think a lot of these tech firms do place emphasis on folks who have had some kind of industry experience, because as glorified as a PM role seems to be, it's a very high pressure role, right? I mean, yeah, it does come with its own set of challenges, right? And you need to be there, and because just think of it this way, right? You are at the center with 10 different people tugging at you, right? There's this marketing team that's working on a campaign that they need to release. They want your inputs. And then there's the design team, the engineering team, the sales team, right? And then the legal team. So it's a very high pressure kind of a role. So having some industry exposure does definitely help. That being said, a lot of folks who join, say, Microsoft right out of their college as an engineer, or maybe out of their MBA colleges as a PM, they join at entry level roles, wherein the scope of products that they handle, that's not too big. So that they just get to learn the tricks of the trade as they go along. Right. So they'll handle a particular part of a particular feature, and then so that they develop those core PM skills first, and then they kind of move to the deep end of the pool, right?
So for a fresher, if someone is a fresher, then what should that?
Yeah. So For a fresher, a lot of these companies are open to a lot of freshers. So I have friends who joined MBA programs as freshers
Okay.
and then came to Microsoft as PMs again, right? So it all boils down to how enthusiastic you are about the role. So a lot of freshers do get into
Okay.
PM roles for sure.
Okay, let's take one more question. So, can you tell us a little bit about what are the opportunities and growth in product manager roles in manufacturing sector?
So in the manufacturing sector, I do see a lot of digital transformation happening right now, right? So we are coming up with concepts like Industry 4.0, right? Wherein all of these manufacturing machines, they talk to each other to kind of preempt any problems happening, right? So a lot of innovation is going out there. Even Microsoft has launched something called Industry Cloud, right? Just to focus on this particular sector, and require their niche needs that they have, right?
Okay.
So a lot of PMs these days are working there. One of the core booming aspect of manufacturing sector is IoT, which is the Internet of Things. A lot of PMs in IoT domain do work in these sectors, right? So that's a great booming field, and I think over the next decade or two, that's something that we do expect a lot of growth to happen in, and that's where a lot of I think a lot of work still needs to be done, and that's something that is definitely an exciting field.
Okay. So, what exactly is the career path to become a product manager? So, you get hired directly as a product manager, or you can grow in a company.
So let me start with how do you get into this role, and then where do you go, right? So there are three ways in which primarily people get hired as a PM here at Microsoft. One, definitely right out of B school, you get a placement directly as a PM. That's one path that a lot of people take, including me. The second way is a lot of engineers within Microsoft, they eventually transition into a PM role, right? As they grow in the company, they work a lot with the PMs around them, and then they finally make a transition to the PM side of things, right? Because they are so aware of their own product, of the details around their own product, that they are able to make this transition pretty smoothly, right? So that's the second way. People join as engineer and then transition into a PM role gradually over time. And third is people get hired from the industry with PM experience.
Okay.
Not necessarily prior PM experience, but experience in domains like consulting, domains like marketing. So people do come in from the industry and bring that particular niche skill set that's required for that role, right? So a lot of folks that I know, they join as software engineers with at big firms, and then they take up a PM role at a startup, and then grow with that startup, right? And then eventually again move back to a big tech firm as a PM, because they have developed those skill sets and those that knowledge, right, working with startups. So those are the three main ways in which a lot of people end up as PMs in a big firm. The growth, typically the growth uh, varies differently based on the team or even the company that you are a part of. I'll tell you from Microsoft perspective, and then I'll also share some thoughts around how the PM growth happens across startups, right? So uh, at Microsoft, the growth, typically you grow in levels. As you grow in levels, you from a PM, you become a senior PM, a principal, and a group PM. Eventually, you move to a director and a partner level, right? And then the CVPs, EVPs, all of those CXO, the C-suite opens up for you. The responsibilities keep on growing a lot. So while as a PM, you would be handling one product, as a senior PM or a principal PM, you would be handling multiple products, or you would even manage a team, right? From an individual contributor, you'll become a team leader, and then you will be managing a bunch of products or a complete product suite. And then eventually, as you grow to a director level or a partner level, that's where you handle a particular business unit, right? So gaming is a business unit for Microsoft. Productivity is a business unit, right? So that's what something at a CVP or a partner level expects to run. So they expect to bring in that revenue chunk from the whole business unit. That's how your responsibilities over 10 years, 12 years grow. That's one part. A lot of people leave and they join different emerging startups, or not even startups, some other well-known Indian brands as head of products, chief product officers, CTOs, right? So that's again an option that's out there. So I mean, growing within the company or moving out into the industry, there are a lot of career options available.
Okay. Okay. Let's take one more question. Just after passing out of a premier B school, would a marketing specialist get access to a PM role, or would he or she have to start off his or her career with B2B sales or marketing? Yeah.
Okay, so it again, yeah, I mean, it's very subjective. Let me add a bit of the thought process that I had seen experienced at my B school, as well as what I'm experiencing right now as well. So a lot of PM work also includes marketing, right? You need to be able to advocate for your product. So marketing is one skill that is definitely required. And a lot of PMs at Microsoft do come from firms like P&G, HUL, right, which are the meccas of marketing, right? So that's something that's definitely valued. That being said, a marketing major at a B school does have like a decent chance at landing a PM role as any other major. I mean, major might not play as significant a role. It's just how you build your profile around it. What are the different kinds of courses that you have taken during the course of your MBA, and what are the other aspects of your profile? Like, for example, one of my friends who landed up a PM job, he runs a blog on Medium around how do different products fare against each other. So he compares a lot of different products, lists down his thoughts, and then that blog got noticed by a recruiter and he got a PM role. So that's something that a lot of people do. So it's eventually how do you demonstrate your interest? Because even if you do not have the required knowledge around technology, your interest is what counts. So you definitely want people who are enthusiastic about technology, because as I said, it's a very challenging role. So being passionate about what you do is one of the prerequisites there. So that's something that's highly valued.
So since you were talking about profile and what all one can do, so what kind of things that our aspirants can do now for profile buildings, as in the ones who are taking CAT this year, and so what all they can prepare. And we also have some attendees who are going to be taking their CAT next year, 2022. So what all they can do right now, they can start off and that. And of course, yeah, once they are in B school, then they are in B school. You can always talk a little bit also about, once they are in one of these B schools, top B schools, what all are the subjects that probably, they should be aiming for or taking in more interest, so that, they can actually, it can help them in their career in PM.
Sure. So let me talk about the folks who are right now targeting for their B schools. A lot of your profile building happens in the way you demonstrate your interest in technology. That's what we are talking about, right? People writing blogs, people interacting on some of these tech forums. There are a lot of conferences that people do attend just to network with a lot of folks in these industries, and having those conferences listed on your resume as an attendee, because say Grace Hopper, that's one of the most esteemed conferences in the industry, right? And being an attendee to Grace Hopper is an achievement in itself, right? So because they select who can attend their conferences. So having some of these peaks on your resume definitely helps. But what I would say from the experience that I had seen there at my B school as well is to have a demonstrable interest in technology. And now this is a very subjective term, the way I have stated it. and different people have different interpretations of it, and they have their own ways to succeed at it. For example, someone I knew, they run their own YouTube channel wherein they uh, tear down new phones that are out there in the market, right?
Okay.
Or then there are people uh, who have their own YouTube channels wherein they take mock PM interviews, and
Okay.
so that way they get to showcase that they have an interest in this particular role, and that's something that you can obviously do to build your profile. Wherein having a number like I have 500,000 followers on YouTube for my channel on product management, that definitely shows me that you are interested in the field, right? So that's something that typically people do. Apart from that, a lot of people do take business analyst roles in tech firms, right? Or they take software engineering roles for that matter in growing startups, or some kind of a mixed role in a startup, because startups do offer a lot of flexibility in terms of the roles.
So once they are in a B school, then what all can they do to maximize their chances to get to be selected by for a PM role?
Yeah, in a B school, I think a lot of people do join the tech clubs, right? So there are different clubs, interest clubs that you can join once you are in B school. So I was also a part of the technology club that was called Sigma at Microsoft, at IMB. So that's something that a lot of people do. They join the tech clubs there. You can take certain electives around the same lines. So I did take a lot of electives in tech. Right, I took electives like AI for managers, managing software systems, right, and a lot of different subjects on the same lines. So that's something that you can definitely try to do as a B school student once you are there, right there.
Someone would like to know a little bit more about Grace Hopper.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah. So it's basically an international conference. So used to be like people used to travel for it previously, but now obviously it's online, so it's easier to attend. So a lot of industry veterans from great firms out there, from people from firms like Facebook, Google, Amazon, Microsoft, all of them come there and they talk about industry trends. They present some of the latest happenings in tech. So it's definitely a great place to see where the whole world is moving in terms of the latest technological advancements.
Okay. Can you also, regarding profile building, can you also talk about, are there any certifications, courses that they can do, or diplomas or stuff like that they can take up now?
Yeah, so obviously there are a lot of courses out there, a lot of courses on sites like Udemy, Coursera. A lot of people do take these courses around software technology, around product management, just to build their profile, right?
Did you do any?
Sorry?
Did you?
I didn't do, but I do know of folks who did.
Okay,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah. So I mean, for me, it was a bit of an easier side, right? Because coming from a computer background, right? It was more of a logical fit. This advice does apply to folks who do not have a computers or a technological background.
Yeah. So for them, definitely, all these things that you've just listed out on your profile building tips, one should ideally follow.
Exactly.
Then, yeah. Okay. So, so somebody is asking, how is the work-life balance of a product manager at Microsoft?
So
especially during the pandemic.
Okay, so I think yeah, I mean that's again a very subjective question. Work-life balance. So while all the great tech firms out there, they do like take care of their employees in terms of preventing burnouts, in terms of not letting people get overburdened. But I think at the end of the day, any B school job that you pick up, right, be it marketing or product management or consulting, all of these jobs do have a downside to it, right, as well, around the work hours. So yeah, definitely during the initial days of pandemics, there were folks in different teams who used to work for crazy hours, right, just to support the massive increase on the infrastructure, right? A lot of companies use Teams. A lot of customers were using Teams for the first time,
Okay.
right? So I think there were a lot of challenges there, but overall, I think it's a pretty balanced role. Some days near a product launch or near a major product announcement, those might be a bit overloaded, but yeah, overall, it's a pretty good mix of work and life.
There's an interesting question about where does your role start and where does your role end in managing a product in the product's life cycle? Yeah.
Okay. So typically, it depends again on the team that you are there, but I'll give you a general idea of how it happens, what it entails. So you do start with the conceptualization, right? A bunch of hypotheses. You sit in a room with different PMs, and then you say, "Hey, let's see what can be done, what can be built in this particular domain. Do customers even want Microsoft in that particular domain?" So you start with a bunch of hypotheses, right? When the product is not even any tangible thing, right? You just list down a list of inquiries, you just list down a bunch of investigation, and then you go and talk to your customers, whether they want something like this, whether they would use if something like this is built, right? That's where it starts. And then again, based on their feedback, refining the product and then designing it along with the designers. How does the app look when you launch it? What button is what color, right? So all of those things, then eventually bringing it to the market, right? How do I announce to the world that this product is now live? What are the blogs that I need to target? Do I need to run a marketing campaign dedicatedly for this? Do I need a page long ad on a newspaper for this? So all of those things are something that a PM needs to be involved with. At the end of the day, right from figuring out what to build to landing it in the hands of the customers, a PM needs to be involved in all parts of this life cycle.
Okay, let's talk about some skill sets that, like some of the core skills that one should ideally have in order to excel as a product manager. So I've read somewhere that an aspiring PM should consider three primary factors when evaluating a role, like core competencies, emotional intelligence, and company fit. Is it true? What are some of those core competencies, say, one needs if they were to work in an IT firm like Microsoft?
Some set of core competencies and the core skills, right?
Yes, yeah.
So one of the primary skills that any PM role requires is structured thinking, right? A lot of people spend a lot of time. Even I spent a lot of time developing structured thinking kind of an approach to problems, right?
Okay.
So a problem that PM gets is our market share is declining in small and medium businesses. What do we need to do?
Okay.
And then this is a very broad problem, right? And that's something that, I mean, you go to office one fine day and then this is an email that you get from a director, right? And then how, as a PM, do you approach it, right? As a PM, you need to make sure that your thinking around a problem is pretty structured. And what do I mean by structured is that how are you able to break it down? When I say market share is declining, does it mean that our revenue is declining? The share of our revenue is declining, or the share of active users is declining, right? And then why is it declining for the past 5 months, 6 months, 1 year, or has it been a sudden drop? So there are a lot of questions or a lot of inquiries that you need to have as a PM. So structured thinking is one of the key skills that I think people definitely do need to develop. The second key skill that I would also say is being stakeholder management. I mean, being able to work with a lot of people, right? And that's something
EQ has to be there, right?
Exactly, your EQ has to be there. I mean, because all of the people out there, they have different motivations, different needs, right? So you need to be sure that you are a people's person. That being said, it doesn't mean that if you're an introvert, you can't be a PM manager. I myself do not particularly gel well with people in a social circle, I would say, but I'm good at getting people on board. And that's a skill that you develop over a period of time. So a PM, say, I mean, again, going back to the point, the PM is the CEO of the product. That's a myth, right? That's a myth. It's not. You do not own any part of the product. You do not direct anyone. No one reports into me. But I need to make people do a lot of stuff, right?
Okay.
And having that, being in that kind of a situation, like people do not report into you, but they need to do what you are telling them, right?
That's
That
very
puts you in a very
tricky. Yeah, that is a very
tricky
tricky
situation.
statement, actually. Yeah.
Exactly. So that's where a PM's job is to kind of make sure that everyone is on board with their ideas, everyone is enthusiastic about what we are building,
Mm.
and you need to make sure that everyone understands why we are doing what we are doing, hear their perspectives. I get to hear a lot of perspectives. So, for example, we are launching this web application, and I had a particular inclination around, okay, this should look like this, it should be of this color, and then the designers were like, no, this doesn't go well with our overall scheme of products that we launch, we should do this. So you need to have a very open perspective to with a lot of different people.
You were a software engineer, and then you decided to pursue an MBA, and then you decided to make a career as a product manager. So, how does an MBA help in getting your foot in the door in product management? How did it help you per se?
Sure.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of things that I talked about structured thinking,
Mm.
that's something that they
Okay.
emphasis a lot during your MBA,
Okay.
right? We basically the teaching methodology or the pedagogy that's being followed there, it's kind of case based thing wherein you get a case, you understand its intricacies, then you come up with a structure to solve it, right? So that's somewhat similar to how you solve problems in a typical PM setting. That being said, a lot of coursework at during the MBA is definitely very helpful. So you study subjects like competition and strategy, you study subjects like marketing, brand management, new product development. So all of these, I think, are different knowledge bases that you gain during your MBA. So that definitely helps you perform your job better, not necessarily get a foot in the door, right? So that's something that you gradually develop over 2 years of your MBA. As far as getting a foot in the door, an MBA definitely gets you a foot in the door in itself, right? You have companies visiting the campus.
Exactly. So we are about to wrap up. So before we leave, can you tell us a little bit more about, say, some of the tips that one can keep in mind, for profile building, simple tips, and also some things that they can probably keep in mind even regarding their core competencies, if there are ways that they can prepare themselves better for all those
Sure.
core competencies that you spoke about, like structured thinking and EQ. Is there, I mean, what if, the person does not have those skills? Is it possible for them to still get into PM as in
Yeah,
become
yeah, yeah.
a product
I mean,
manager?
yeah, definitely. I think that's something that get built over time. I mean, you can't just get a structured thinking skill inbuilt in a day or two, right?
Right.
It does require a constant effort. And I know of a lot of people who did practice a lot of case interviews, a lot of PM case interviews, just to understand uh, how to break down problems logically, right?
Okay.
So I think that's something that people should look out for. What a great tip that one of my seniors shared with me and that really helped me
Mm.
is to also now look out to a lot of these resources out there,
Okay.
right? A lot of online resources are available, be it Exponent. So that's a website that's specifically developed for PM skills and PM, how to develop PM skills and competencies,
Okay.
right? And then there are a lot of blogs that a lot of eminent authors write. So that's something that you can definitely follow.
Okay.
So one thing that I would definitely want to tell the aspiring PM candidates is to be on the lookout of what's happening in the industry.
Okay.
Where is the whole industry moving, right? And try to be in sync with that, right? You don't want to be 5 years behind what's happening in the world out there, right? So you need to be updated. What's going on in the industry, and then if possible, try to get something which relates to some things out there, right? For example, the question that someone asked around manufacturing sector. So there is a bunch of innovation happening there.
Okay.
Internet of Things with
Correct.
5G coming in. There's a boom that we're expecting to see in that particular sector. So if you can specifically be a part of all of those innovations, somehow be related to them, I think that will definitely help you get a foot in the door for the career.
Okay. All right. Before we wrap up, I would like to thank all the attendees and our speaker, Bharat Khanna. Thank you so much for coming here for this session and answering all these questions. And wish you all a great weekend. Stay home and stay safe. Good day. Thank you, Bharat.
Thank you so much, Kalyani. It was a pleasure talking to you.